Hello everybody and welcome to my long-awaited theory. Now, before we begin, I would like to say that there is a bit of backstory. It's mostly just me explaining why I created this theory and the steps along the way that I did to do it. And so if you don't want to have to watch that, I would suggest skipping to the time that will be below my little stick figure character. But if you do want to watch it, then the backstory will start now. So, about 4 months ago, I posted a small little thing that said that the new dinosaur from the Jurassic World Rebirth trailer looked pretty similar to a xenomorph. It was just a quick little thing, and I thought nothing more of it. Then, about a month passed. I was walking in my room when I remembered my theory. I started thinking, could I expand upon this theory? Somehow, some way? And then, my two brain cells started to work together, and I suddenly felt a whole lot of energy, and my creative juices started to flow like a river. So I sat down on my bed, and I started coming up with amazing ideas for this very weird and wacky theory. At the time, I had a science oral report project for my biology class that I desperately needed to finish. Plus, in my high school novel writing class, I was writing a book that I probably should have put more creativity and energy into writing. But no. No. I decided to waste my time coming up with this theory that, for the first time in almost 2 weeks, made me feel a little happy. Then, after nearly 2 hours of thinking about this in my mind, I made what I called the perfect theory. I then grabbed my laptop, sat down at my desk, and started typing. I was able to type a gargantuan 2 sentences of this theory when I called it a day. I told myself I would work on it tomorrow, but I never did. And to be honest, I just procrastinated it for way too long. It would bug me that I never worked on it, but I told myself I would do it eventually. But eventually never happened. I just moved on with my life. I went to school learning about random stuff, had the best memories talking with my guy friends at our lunch table. I had the best prom that a man could have asked for, and I somehow ended that school year with A's in both biology and high school novel writing. During this entire time, I almost never thought about my theory. Then, summer break started. I was walking around in my room again, thinking about this last month of school, when I remembered my theory. I remember telling myself, I don't think I'm ever going to make it, but it was a fun little thing. However, over the next few days, I would think about it often, and I started becoming sad and regretful that I never made it. Then, one day, I was getting onto the app that we use for school to communicate with our teachers. Even though it is for school purposes only, I decided to make a group chat with a bunch of my friends in it. Well, one of these friends, we'll call her Suki, made a art challenge for us. She told us it could be many different types of art categories, like a music, a skit, traditional art, or one of them, animation. I already make animations every other month, so I thought I'll just make a cute little funny animation. And then she had some categories, and as she called them, prompts, for what this art challenge could be about. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll just make one of them. And I got to one of the last few on the list, and I noticed it was an absurd conspiracy theory. And, as you know, I had been procrastinating this theory I had finally wanted to make. And after reading those words, I decided, you know what, I'm finally gonna do it. And that was the final push that I needed to finally make this theory. So, I say this all to say, thank you, Suki, for unknowingly making me write this theory after much procrastination. And if you for some reason decide to watch this video, I couldn't have done it without you. Now, without much further ado, let's get into the video. Well, that's kind of a lie. Before we get into the interesting parts, I would suggest you watch the Jurassic World Rebirth trailers. Assuming that you are watching this video, I would also assume that you have probably watched the trailers. But in case you haven't yet, and this is just like a random video that you thought would be interesting, or you're one of the people in the group chat that I'm having to show this video to, I'll give a quick overview of it. Pretty much, Scarlett Johansson and Jonathan Bailey get hired by some rich guy to go to Isla Sorna and collect the DNA of the 3 biggest dinosaurs that they can find. I don't know why they're doing this. I don't know. I forgot. But they decided to hire a mercenary-like guy named Mahershala Ali. I'll just call him Ali. And, yeah, basically he takes them to this island. For some reason, though, they say that no one goes to this island because no one's stupid enough to go there. However, in 2 other movies, we have gone to this exact same island. So obviously, the people and the scriptwriters are just kind of dumb. And also, for safe measure, we're gonna bring a child because it's a Jurassic World movie. We're gonna bring a child. Alright, I think that's it. Like I said, definitely go watch the 2 trailers. I think there's 2, I don't know. But, yeah, just go watch the trailers first, and I guess now we're getting into the theory. Let's start back at my original theory and the flaws with it. My original idea was that the new dino and a xenomorph look similar enough that they could be biologically related. They both have big, circular-ish foreheads, they have small mouths with thin, almost needle-like teeth, and Xeno and Dino sound a little alike, at least in my brain. Though there is a flaw with this theory. It doesn't have all the necessary features to be really closely related to the D-Rex. I began thinking that this theory couldn't work. Then I remembered another creature that does look similar to the D-Rex. That being the Muto Prime from the Godzilla book series. What was it called again? Aftershock. They both have somewhat similar similarities in which they have an extra pair of tiny arms, longer front arms used for bending and grabbing things, smaller mouths, and they're just not good looking. So my new theory was that the new dino and the Muto Prime are related. Goodbye to the xenomorph, you were fun while you lasted. That was until I thought, how would this creature exist? My thought was that the Muto Prime and a dinosaur would have some special in-and-out quality time. and produce this abomination. But this would never happen, because the Muto has been shown to be a highly intelligent organism, so it would never reproduce with a being of lesser knowledge. So I went back to the drawing board to think again, and I realized I could bring back the xenomorph. Xenomorphs are also highly intelligent creatures, so they would want to reproduce with a being of higher intelligence like the Muto Prime. This would also explain why the new dinosaur looks the way it does. When children are being made, they take traits from both parents, so a mom and a dad. You can see this when looking at the new dino, because it takes the forehead, a small mouth, and needle-like teeth from the xenomorph, while taking the extra pair of arms, longer front arms, and just being downright ugly from the Muto Prime. And that was my theory. Then I saw a teeny tiny problem with this. A xenomorph is about this big compared to a human, while the Muto Prime is about this big. Let's just say making a child would be very hard. So I did some research, trying to find ways to see if I could scale down the Muto Prime or make the xenomorph bigger. After some digging, I realized that the Muto Prime is actually a girl, meaning the xenomorph would have to be a guy. To be honest, I thought it would have to be the other way around, because look at the Muto Prime. It's ugly. Girls are not ugly. And that was my theory. Until I was on YouTube one day and found that the name of the new dino was revealed, and it had been dubbed the D-Rex. I watched a video explaining all that we knew about this dinosaur at the time, when I thought to myself, what could the D stand for? So I sat down in my bed and I started thinking. I thought maybe it could stand for destructive, distortus, some other D words I probably shouldn't say on YouTube. When I had the funny thought, the D stands for Diddy, and he would be the Diddy Rex. I burst out laughing because, I'm a teenage boy, so I find stuff like this funny. And I just really didn't think any more of it. Then, a few days passed. I was walking around in my room again when I remembered the Diddy Rex joke. I laughed at it again because, it's still funny. But I thought, could I somehow put Diddy into my theory? And after some time, I realized that the puffball could play a major role in the movie. And this, my friends, was the beginning of madness. First, let's talk about who Diddy is so that we can understand why my theory states he's going to be in the movie. Diddy is an American rapper and record producer from the early 1990s, and he made hundreds of millions of dollars through his music, business ventures, and shrewd investments. However, he is more recently famous for his special parties called freak-off parties or Diddy parties. If you know what happens at these parties, you know what happens. At these parties, you could find many things, like celebrities of all ages and genders, kids as far as the eye can see, and most importantly, oil. Specifically, baby oil. When police arrived at one of these parties, they found that Diddy had almost 1,000 bottles of baby oil. He tried defending himself by saying he likes to buy in bulk from Costco, like most Americans do. First of all, I don't know anyone who would buy 1,000 of anything, let alone baby oil. And two, a spokesperson from Costco came out and said that all of their stores do not sell baby oil. So how and where did Diddy get so much? This is where the D-Rex comes into play. Some animals in the animal kingdom are able to squirt out liquids from their body. One example is the horned lizard. He has the ability to shoot blood out of his eye up to 4 feet away as a defense mechanism. So maybe the D-Rex can do the same. The first time we get to see the D-Rex was when the Ali guy was waving a flare around trying to get its attention. While photos can't do it justice, we can see that the D-Rex was walking in a liquid of some sorts. While we are led to believe that this is water, since Isla Sorna is a tropical island, this might be the room where Diddy gets his oil. Think about it. Going around to different stores and buying all their bottles of baby oil would be very weird. And since he needs so much, waiting for the stores to restock would take a while as well. So why not create an organism that can make the oil for you? You would get it for free, and now you also have a cool dinosaur as a pet. And then I remembered how genetics work. For the Diddy Rex to be able to pump out baby oil, his parents would also have to have the ability to pump out baby oil, and then that trait would have to get passed down to their child. While we could say that a genetic mutation happened while the Diddy Rex was being made, I don't think a mutation like this could ever happen. And neither the Muto Prime or the Xenomorph squirt out liquids in any way. And even if they did, it would not be baby oil. It would probably be water or some other bodily fluids. But not all hope is lost. From the 2015 Jurassic World movie, we find out that the genetic modification of the traits that certain dinosaurs can have is possible. In the movie, Simon Masrani was expressing his concerns about the Indominus Rex to Dr. Henry Wu, which is the hybrid dinosaur and the big bad of that movie. Here's a segment of the conversation that supports what I'm talking about. Okay, so I was in the editing phase, and I tried bringing the clip into my animating software, but it wasn't loading. And so I just decided me and my brother are going to say the clip out loud, but just to, show that I'm not lying about what I'm talking about, I'm going to leave a link in the description to the segment, a video of the segment that I'm talking about, so if you want to verify what I'm saying, then just click that link. You know that I'm not authorized to reveal the asset's genetic makeup. Modified animals are known to be unpredictable.
It's killed people, Henry.
That's unfortunate.
What purpose could we have for a dinosaur that could camouflage?
Cuttlefish genes were added to help withstand an accelerated growth rate. Cuttlefish have chromatophores that allow the skin to change color.
It hid from the thermal detector.
You're saying it good. Really? Say this line. Just say your next line.
How's that possible?
Tree frogs can modulate their infrared output. We use strands from their DNA to adapt to a tropical climate. But I never imagined... Say that line.
Who authorized you to do this?
You did. Bigger, scarier, cooler, I believe is the word that you used in your memo. You could not have an animal with exaggerated predator features without the corresponding behavioral traits.
What you're doing here, what you've done, everything you've built, and Hammond won't be there to protect you this time.
All of this exists because of me. If I don't innovate, somebody else will.
You are to cease all activities here immediately.
You are acting like we're engaged in some kind of mad science. but we're doing what we've done from the beginning. Nothing in Jurassic World is natural, and we have always filled the gaps in the genome with the DNA of other animals. And if their genetic code was pure, many of them would look quite different. But you didn't ask for reality. You asked for more teeth.
I never asked for a monster.
Monster is a relative term. To Canary, a cat is a monster. And we're just used to being the cat. With this confirmed, the next big question is, would Dr. Wu help out Diddy? And you bet he would. In an official Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom book I bought when I was a small child, it briefly mentions Dr. Wu in it, and it says, Dr. Wu was found guilty of all bioethical misconduct and stripped of all of his credentials. But under there is a post-it note printed onto the page that says, not that it matters to someone like Wu, he'll find someone unethical enough to fund his research. And I think we know a certain guy that is very unethical and would love to fund research like this. In case you haven't caught on, it's Diddy. And Diddy could afford this. Genetic engineering is the process in which you change an organism's DNA so that they have different traits. Some examples are horses that run faster, cows that produce more milk, and livestock being more resistant to diseases. While it was hard to find an exact number, Diddy's net worth seems to be anywhere from $300 to $500 million. If you go back to the horse example from earlier, estimates on how much it costs to change the DNA to make him run faster seem to be about $100,000. Since we're making a bigger change to the D-Rex embryo, let's assume it'll cost about $300,000. Diddy could still afford this. So, here's my theory. Diddy needs tons of baby oil. So he hired Dr. Wu to genetically modify the embryo that the Muto Prime and the Xenomorph created to make a baby that will produce baby oil that Diddy can use at his parties. And that was it. And then I began thinking of plot holes and ways that I can fill them. So I'm going to go do a few of them since most of them are just short, quick answers. If the D-Rex is not a dinosaur, then why does it have Rex in its name? Because when it was born, Diddy named it Diddy Jr., obviously, most of us do. But when it was growing up, it started looking like a dinosaur, so he renamed it the Diddy Rex. Why does he have the dino on Isla Sorna? Because Isla Sorna is an island not monitored by the government. If any government were to find out about this, they would probably take the Diddy Rex away from Diddy and do some tests on it. Making the Diddy Rex produce baby oil, would that even be possible? Yes. Dr. Wu was the lead scientist for Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. He helped bring living dinosaurs back from extinction. While it would be hard to modify a creature that makes a liquid unnatural to nature, with what he's done in the past, I bet he could easily do it. Even though Diddy has unlimited baby oil, how did he get all the bottles? He obviously went around asking close friends if they have any leftover bottles of baby oil, and then filled them up with his baby oil. Then I had a question I'm going to have to go into a little bit more detail about. Why is the Diddy Rex going after Miss Johannes? I'm looking at my notes. I really spelled her name wrong. I must have been tired, or high, either one. Why is the Diddy Rex going after Miss Johansson and her crew? I had the simple thought, it's just an animal, so it's doing animal things. And that was that. But something didn't feel right. It was too simple. Sure, if a hungry lion sees a gazelle, it will definitely try to eat it. And that might be what the Diddy Rex is doing, but I don't think that is it. Earlier when I was explaining Diddy parties, I mentioned that there were celebrities of all ages and genders. And, potentially, Scarlett is one of them. She might have been invited to one of these parties, Diddy liked what she had, and now he wants more of her. This would also explain why there is a child with them. In all 6 Jurassic movies, there is always somehow a child that finds a way to be with the main characters. Lex and Tim were the grandchildren of Dr. John Hammond, Kelly was the daughter of Ian Malcolm, Eric was the son of Paul and Amanda Kirby, Zach and Gray were the nephews of Claire Dearing, Maisie was the granddaughter of Benjamin Lockwood, and then in the next movie became the adopted daughter of Claire Dearing and Owen Grady. As you can see, there are always children, and they are always related to the main character in some way. While, according to my knowledge, the owner of this child hasn't been specified, My theory states that it will belong to Miss Johansson. Like I said earlier, if you know what happens at the Diddy parties, you know what happens. During the fun and festivities, a accident might have happened that led to Scarlett Johansson becoming pregnant. This makes more sense when we look at the child. When a parent of darker skin color and a parent of a lighter skin color make children, most of the time the child will take both of the parents' skin colors and make a mix of the two. If we take a look at Diddy, Johansson, and the child, it is possible that an accident happened at one of these parties, because they look similar enough that the child might have been from Johansson. And I know I didn't answer the question, why is the Diddy Rex going after Miss Johansson and her crew, so now I will. If Diddy did like Miss Johansson, then he would want all that he can get out of her. So to be with her more, he's going to kidnap her, and using the Diddy Rex is the best way possible. Remember near the beginning when I mentioned that the Muto Prime and Xenomorph are highly intelligent organisms? This would mean that their children would also be highly intelligent. From the 2015 Jurassic World movie, we learned that Simon Masrani hired a guy named Owen Grady to help learn and train velociraptors to do various tasks. So, while I personally don't think Diddy hired Owen, he could have hired someone else to train the Diddy Rex. So, when Diddy learned about her coming to the island, he sent the Diddy Rex to go and capture her, bring her to him, and then do anything and everything he wants to do to her. In conclusion, Diddy worked together with Dr. Wu to genetically modify an organism made by the embryo of the Xenomorph and Muto Prime to produce baby oil for Diddy's parties. Somehow, Diddy learns about Miss Johansson coming to Isla Sorna and sends the Diddy Rex after her. And that's really it. I couldn't think of any more plot holes. It was finally over. I could now die happy next to my imaginary wife, since Lord knows I won't be able to get one in real life. So that, my friends, is my theory. Thanks for watching. It's so beautiful.
Hey, I have one quick question.
Well, make it quick. I need to ascend.
Okay, so how would the Xenomorph from the Aliens universe and the Muto Prime from the Godzilla universe make it into the Jurassic World universe?
Oh, that's easy. They just have... Well, actually, hold on. Neither of them can do... You know what? I'm just gonna give up. I have worked so hard trying to make this stupid theory work out, and I don't know how I missed a plot hole this big. Teleportation is not a thing within the Jurassic franchise, let alone universe hopping. This theory is going to be thrown to a trash can, and I'm going to move on and forget about that. I hope you liked my failing theory, and I might see you on the flip side. Goodbye. But I didn't want it to end there. Deep down, I knew I could find a way to make this theory work out. And so I sat down on my bed again and I started thinking of ways to make it work out. But after about 2 hours of thinking, I couldn't find a way to make it work out. And so I almost admitted defeat by telling myself it's over. But it was nice while it lasted. Then, a few days later, I decided that day I would remember the fever dream that was April, because the month of April was just really crazy for me, and I loved it a lot. Part of April, though, was the blockbuster success that was a Minecraft movie, and I remembered all the shenanigans that happened with that. I decided to rewatch the trailers since there was no way I was going to go see the actual movie. And as I was rewatching them, I noticed that the trans kid was holding a strange little blue cube. As I was looking at it, though, it reminded me of another little blue cube, the Tesseract, the one from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, I don't know much about the Tesseract, or even Marvel in general, but I do know a wee little bit. The Tesseract is a blue cube that is the container for the Space Stone. The Space Stone has the power to alter matter and, most importantly, create portals for teleportation. Do you see where this is going? During Avengers Endgame, Tony Stark used all 6 Infinity Stones to snap Thanos out of existence. But in the process, he killed himself. But what if he didn't die? Hear me out, this might be a stretch, but to be honest, this entire theory is a stretch, so it will fit right in. What if Tony survived, turned evil, and is planning on taking revenge out on the Avengers? But Tony was a good guy! He would never turn evil! Yes, I know, he was a good guy. Yeah, but you don't have enough evidence to support him becoming a bad guy. I know, there isn't really a lot of— Oh my gosh, he became Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom is a villain from the MCU, or going to be in the MCU, sorry, and he is the enemy of the Fantastic Four and has a strong hatred for the Avengers. While we could just say this is a cheap casting decision, I think it means a little bit more. In some Marvel comics, Tony Stark becomes a version of Doctor Doom, and I think that's what they're going to do in the MCU. Like I said earlier, I think Tony didn't die, but that he survived and is now plotting revenge. But what is his revenge plan? Why, it is to scatter the Avengers as far as possible. But how could he do this? With the power of the Space Stone. And this isn't a hypothetical question, it's very much possible. Within some storylines of Marvel, Doctor Doom obtains possession of the Space Stone. I forgot if I said it earlier or not, now that I'm thinking about it, but the Space Stone has the power to create portals across the universe. Meaning he could use it to transport people and things anywhere he wants. And this is how Doctor Doom is connected to Jurassic World. Scarlett Johansson might have not been from the Jurassic universe. Who else does Scarlett Johansson play in movies? She plays Black Widow, who is on the Avengers. But in Avengers Endgame, Black Widow dies. But just like Tony, maybe she didn't die. It has been confirmed that there is another timeline or reality, I believe it was in the What If series, where Black Widow didn't die. And it is possible to access these other realities using the Reality Stone. The Reality Stone, like I said, can access these other realities, including the one where Black Widow didn't die. So if Doctor Doom is trying to disassemble the Avengers, he starts by getting rid of Black Widow. But since he was allies with her when he was Iron Man, he decided to teleport her to the Jurassic universe instead of, killing her. But how does Doctor Doom connect to the other main part of my theory, aka the part involving Diddy? Well, I'm glad you would ask. I'm assuming you're asking. To make sure Scarlett Johansson doesn't get out of hand, Doctor Doom starts spying on her to make sure she's doing well. While one day he was spying on her in the Jurassic universe, he finds a guy named Diddy. Diddy would proceed to invite Doctor Doom into one of his Diddy parties. Once there, they would do the things you would normally do at a Diddy party, and Doctor Doom likes what Diddy is doing. They would each form a friendship with each other, and they would get to know each other more. Diddy would one day tell Doctor Doom that he needs more baby oil, and Doctor Doom is like, I can do this, watch it. And he creates a portal to the Godzilla universe, and brings a Muto Prime from there, and a portal to the Aliens universe, and brings a Xenomorph. Then the two creatures start making a child, and Diddy hires Dr. Wu to modify the embryo so that the child can produce baby oil. One day, Scarlett heads to one of these Diddy parties and has fun there, and Diddy likes what she has. She keeps on going to these parties until one day she stops coming to them, and Diddy becomes sad. Once he learns that Miss Johansson is heading to Isla Sorna, he sends the Diddy Rex after her with the intent of bringing her back to Diddy. Since the theory is pretty long, I will do a recap of the entire thing just in case. Iron Man isn't dead, but instead he is alive and becomes Doctor Doom. Using the Reality Stone, he travels to a reality where Black Widow didn't die, only to then send her to the Jurassic World universe. Doctor Doom also travels to the Jurassic universe where he becomes best friends with P. Diddy. Diddy invites him to his parties and after some time, runs low on baby oil. Dr. Doom brings the Muto Prime and the Xenomorph, and together the two creatures make a child. Diddy knows that this child can't make baby oil, so he hires the best geneticist alive, Dr. Wu, to modify the baby to produce the baby oil. Once the baby is born, Diddy and Wu decide to move it to Isla Sorna so it'll be far away from government eyes. Miss Johansson starts coming to the Diddy parties, and Diddy loves her, because, why not? But after one of these parties, she becomes pregnant and gives birth to the child. Afterwards, she stops coming to the parties so that she can raise the child, and Diddy becomes sad that she isn't at the parties anymore. After many years, she gets hired to go to Isla Sorna and obtain the DNA of the 3 biggest dinosaurs there. Diddy somehow finds out about this and sends the Diddy Rex after her to bring her to him, so he can do all that he wants to her. And do, anything really. We know what Diddy would do to her. So yeah, that's my theory. I couldn't think of really any more plot holes. So, but hey, that's just a theory. A film theory. And cut. Hey, if you made it this far into the video, then that means one of 2 things. You're either A, one of the poor girls in the group chat that had to watch this monstrosity, or 2, you are someone that stumbled upon this video and thought, hey, this looks like a fun video to watch. So if you fit into any of these 2 categories, or even a 3rd or 4th one that I'm forgetting about, I would just like to say thank you for spending the time to watch this video. I would also like to say thank you to BUCKshot VA. He voiced the guy that chained me back down to Earth when I was ascending into heaven. And he also has a very cool YouTube channel, and he makes a bunch of fun stuff. So I'm going to put a, what are they called again? I forgot. A link down in the description, so you can go check that out. And I'm also going to go thank Suki again for unknowingly making me finally make this animation. And I pray that God blesses the rest of your day. Goodbye. I think, yeah. I don't know. I don't know if there's really anything else to say. If you want, you could just stay here and listen to my random voice as my stick figure's doing random nonsense, I guess. Though I am a little tired. I think I'm just gonna go to bed. Good night. Today, I'm going to play you the Jurassic World theme song on a flute.